Okay, so it is about 81 degrees out here tonight, and we're looking at, we should be at 1900 if we're full. And we checked the oxygen gauge on this aircraft, and yeah, no, we ain't full. So, we've got to service it. So the first thing we're going to do is connect our oxygen hose up to the servicing port. Whenever you do this, when you're tightening, for your final tightening, use a stubby wrench, not a full-size one, and that way you won't rip the threads out of the servicing port or the connector on the end of the hose. And we have our hose running all the way back to our oxygen booster, which is right here. And then we got on-off. This adjustment really we don't play with. There's our nitrogen in pressure, which goes right here, runs through this hose, and that goes to this nitrogen cylinder and a regulator here. And the important thing about this is we don't want to go past that red line, which is 90 psi, or this valve will pop open and make a really loud noise and the pump will stop, because this regulates it at about 90 psi. And you'll notice when this gets going, this needle's going to start swinging back and forth, so you don't want to be going over that. And then our other hose, which also connects on to the oxygen booster here, runs around and goes to our oxygen bottle. Now, we've only got 1450 in this bottle. We've already got, I think, over 1500 in the airplane, and that's why we need the booster. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on, actually you want to make sure this is all the way unscrewed, so that's all the way out. In is high pressure, out is low, and it all the way out. We're going to open our bottle, and yeah, that's how much pressure we got in them here. We're going to open this up, and then we're going to start turning this in. Now this is going to charge our lines. This is going to pressurize them as much as we can get out of this bottle. Alright, as you can tell, the needle's not moving. I just hit the top. And I doubt anything's going into the airplane. Now right now if I turn this on, nothing will happen. I wish that PC-12 would leave so you can hear me better, because I want you to hear what the system sounds like when it turns on. Okay, so our PC-12 is gone, so now you can hear this. So once again, make sure this is unscrewed all the way out. Open the nitrogen bottle. Let's see, we got about 700, that's what I thought. I always write it on a piece of tape right here. And now we're going to crack this. We're going to start turning it in. But notice we don't even have 90 on this gauge. So I'm going to turn that and watch this. Since I had it turned on, when it starts cycling like this, right, that's about as, you can go a little closer to 90, but not much, or it will overpressure and shoot out of here. So now this nitrogen is making the piston go back and forth inside of here, which is putting out oxygen pressure. Now, if you feel any gas coming out here, that is only nitrogen. There's no oxygen with that. The oxygen is all going in this hose, which goes out to the airplane. So now we just got to watch this, and like I said, we got to go to 19. All right, we're already at 18 right now. We got a slight hiss out of this. Let's give it a little bit more of a bump for the stubby wrench. Some of that I think is just the air going through it. Alright, so we're getting closer. And the thing you got to remember is as you're compressing gas, it heats up. And when it heats up, it makes a higher pressure. And then it will cool. And you're going to, I call it sag. Basically, you want to go to 19, you're going to shut it down. And depending on how much you had to fill this. Now, I didn't have to fill much, so it's not going to heat up much. But if I'd had to fill this, let's say from like 500, that bottle gets warm, and then it's going to sag back a good 50 to 75 psi on the other side. I'm not going to overshoot though, because I don't want to blow that relief out. And I know when we get to 19, we are getting into that range, and I just don't want to take that chance. But we're at 1825 now. and pretty soon here we'll be getting up to 19. Oxygen booster is really nice because we can actually use as much of the bottle, but down to about 800 psi of our oxygen. The only problem is it does blow through your nitrogen, and you know, if let's say you're outfitting a fleet, there are actually engine-driven compressors you could use, or maybe we can't use an electric, but maybe a gasoline-powered one that would just use regular air instead of nitrogen to power the oxygen booster, and that would actually work just fine. It would do the same job and not cause you to go through so much nitrogen in doing it. But let's see what we get here. We're 1850 now, and I'll go all the way to 19, and I'll shut the pump down. I'll turn all the bottles back down, and what they get is what they get. 19 is what they would like. It's going to sag back just a little, probably more like 25 psi on this one. Okay, so we're right up on 1900. We give it a couple more pumps, and then we got to shut it all down. And the final thing you need to do after you shut off the pump is disconnect your regulator from your oxygen and from your nitrogen, and put the safety caps back on the bottles, because this is a mobile vehicle. You'll be on the road. You never know if you're going to get in a crash or roll over, or building fall on you, or who knows what. And if you have the regulator exposed, if it's oxygen, you're going to get a fire. If it's nitrogen and it breaks off, that bottle comes loose, the bottle becomes a rocket, and it will go through anyone or anything in its way, do significant damage. So for safety, safety caps on.